I think within the next 12 months, we're going to see CZ fleeing from multiple criminal charges. I think I'd estimate maybe 2,000-3,000 years possible prison sentence, all up.
Well, we're here at the Coingeek conference in Toronto, Canada, scaling conference with Dr. Craig Wright.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here with us again. We know that we're going to 2 gigabytes in July. What is the next step after that? I know we're going unbound, but what do you see what's going to happen to the network? And
it'll get bigger. It'll get bigger and bigger. Every time someone uses it, they pay more money to miners. You pay more money to miners. Miners who want to actually keep going invest more money. It's a business. This is the thing. If you want to compete and you want to actually be competitive, you invest more money. And you see more money coming in, you invest more, you get bigger.
Of course. Actually, it sounds like something that, like most people right now watching, they're confused because, Satoshi went away and then Satoshi came back. So one thing that you wrote back then, it was that in the future, the miners or the nodes are going to be specialized facilities.
Yes.
So is that where we're going now?
That's correct. And I'm staying with the same narrative. I haven't changed. I know everyone keeps saying that it needs to be different, but it doesn't. We're going to end up with a world where people actually specialize. Adam Smith, one of the first people to actually put this on pen and paper, determined that people specialize and people form something that they're really good at, and that gives us an economy of scale. And we can do that with Bitcoin too. And you've seen some of the presentations already, and for instance, where people are now able to peer different applications, peer using other people and their phones, their computers, to earn Bitcoin, not just by mining. Like the last application, we're talking about uptime monitoring, but not deploying Google and AWS servers. Having people out there run an app, and then you can pick out, using statistical algorithms, any bad sort of results, any anomalies, and you can analyze those and see whether they're real or someone's cheating, and only pay the people who are honest. And that's what it's really about. Because everything's on chain here, we can make sure that people are paid when they're honest.
Right. Another thing that Satoshi, of course, you said back in the beginning was that the protocol is set in stone.
Correct.
And but the BTC core developers, they added RBF, they added SegWit.
They're adding Snore, they're going to try and get confidential transactions, they're just changing everything all the time.
And BCH also did the same thing.
They've just added Schnorr. They're trying to do everything they can to make it more and more anonymous, and they don't seem to understand that might bring in more and more criminals. But when any criminal system gets to a certain size, law enforcement starts to notice. And Corecoin, BTC, is just at the brink of that. People are starting to notice. People are seeing. Law enforcement are becoming involved. Interpol are involved. People are investigating this now. And once that happens, once they shut it down, it's gone. That's what people don't seem to understand. Liberty Reserve was distributed. There were over 30,000 people who acted as nodes, effectively, like a distributed wireless network. But the difference to Bitcoin was it was distributed, but with no way of actually finding out what happened. There's no logs, no records, no audit trail, no blockchain.
Effectively anonymous.
It was anonymous, yeah. And the FBI tested that by signing up with different emails, including ones like 123 Fake Street as an address and things like this. And that enabled them to prove that there's no KYC. Something like you can do on Binance right now.
Speaking of Binance, they, of course, the listed BSV, it went down just by 10%. Yesterday I was speaking with Wright about that. So it wasn't really a big drop in price or an attack. What do you think that that's going to happen to Binance actually?
I think within the next 12 months, we're going to see CZ fleeing from multiple criminal charges. I think I'd estimate maybe 2,000-3,000 years possible prison sentence, all up. And I'm being generous because law enforcement, after you've got the first 1,000 or so years, start not caring so much.
And this is because
this is because he's a criminal. People don't realise yet, the majority of what goes through Binance is crime. Both Bitfinex and Binance are some of the biggest money launderers on earth at the moment. There's a lot of money coming out of the Russian state from people who are bureaucrats that are stealing money out of Russia. And there is a lot of money from things like people smuggling and other illicit crimes. That's really what they're making money on. So it's a lot of wash trades, so people manipulating markets and things like that, which is illegal. But that enables people who are a lot of Eastern European people who are involved in the people movement trade. So in a lot of South American countries, there's a lot of this being funded at the moment. So we're seeing people from places in South America being funneled through Panama up into Mexico and then into the US. Older women being sold into effectively working as slaves to do work like what do you call it, like cleaning and as dishwashers and things like that in a number of industries. Effectively slaves. They're getting paid practically nothing and the money's going away. And at the same time, people who are younger being promised jobs like nannies or whatever else, and then being grabbed and they're being hooked on heroin and crack and things like this. And the way that this occurs is a number of the more anonymous coins, especially Binance coin, things like that, are being used with Tether and other things to help get those people through. So it enables them to move money in and out of the US with fairly much impunity.
You've worked before with law enforcement, is that correct?
That is correct, yes.
And so you have been, I guess, quote unquote, catching pedophiles and stuff like that. Is that one of the things that you've done before?
I didn't actually catch pedophiles. I've been on the electronic data side of things. So I have engaged in raids, only because I was there to make sure that no one wrecked the computers or anything like that. So I have a digital forensics past where I would analyze machines and try and find data on these, including I was part of the team that helped break TrueCrypt, for instance.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I mentioned this because again, my audience are in Spanish. I mean, like mostly Latin America and Spain. And as you know, Bitcoin and these cryptocurrencies are mostly, they're more developed, or people pay more attention to them in Asia. In Asia.
Yes.
So when we're talking about Latin America, it's kind of like the last place that they flourish. So they are,
but in different ways. It's not the average person. The average person should be the one using Bitcoin and should be earning. I mean, some of what you saw promoted today, new things that are being developed. That's something where someone in Latin America could actually run an app and monitor uptime of machine and earn a little bit of money, not really doing much more than having a phone running and running their battery down. Yet what we're actually seeing is a lot of these poor Hispanic women who don't speak English have been then sold into somewhere and they can't get out. They're effectively locked away and unable to even protest because they don't get onto the street. They can't speak English. So that's how a lot of these things actually happen.
Yes. I was asking that because people don't know, they don't really know you, so I wanted to go a little bit into what you've done before. I know you actually helped or deploy the Australian Stock Exchange.
That's correct. I was actually involved and hired at the beginning of when they went and dematerialized stocks. So What this dematerialization means is where they move it from paper to electronic databases. So we set up an internet-based system. We moved the VAXs and everything like that and connected them using DEC proxies and firewalls and connected them to the internet so that people could trade. That involved the NIPA network, where a country-wide distributed network of brokers over, effectively it was the equivalent of a peer network, because all the brokers needed to update each other instantly over this network that allowed all the trades to happen, so that we could move what was effectively tokens. So that was back in the 90s, and building that with the team, I was involved with the security and a few other aspects of that. Enabled people to have one of the first sort of global trading platforms on a stock exchange. So people think tokens are something new. They're not, and even distributed's not new. But the difference with the stock exchange was it might have been a peer-to-peer network between all the brokers, but the exchange needed to act as the sort of central authority, and we had chess and other databases, and we would set the time and the ordering and everything like this. So what Bitcoin now added to that, a lot of the other aspects of what we had in the stock exchange actually are in Bitcoin, but without the timing. So how do you make sure that the time is correct? Well, that's where the blocks and things come in.
Of course. I want to touch on this subject because it's big. Recently there was a screenshot of kind of like your plan, right? The plan about selling BTC with iceberg orders. And can you comment on that, or it's legit, right?
No, I mean, I don't know what I'll do with it, to tell you the truth. I mean, over time, I may or may not sell some of the holdings, depends. So I can't comment at the moment.
That's all right, that's fine. Well, Craig, I just want to thank you for your time. And you have a conference in Bogota. Maybe you can invite the viewers to Bogota.
I'd love to see you all there. I haven't been back to Colombia for quite some time. I went from Venezuela back in 2010 was the last time. And I'd love to see you all in Bogota as I go back there in about a month's time. Thank you.
There you have it, folks. Thank you, Craig. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.